Hello, dear ones. Today, for the first time, I'm here with the poem for the students of Class 8 CBSE board. Yes, an English poem, in fact, that has been prescribed in their textbook Honeydew. And the name of the poem is The Ant and the Cricket. Now, you see in the book, at the end of the poem, in place of poet's name, it's written adapted from Aesop's fables. Aesop was a famous Greek writer who has written many fables. Now, what are fables? Fables are, in fact, short stories taking animals as characters and, yes, giving the readers a moral lesson. Some of Aesop's popular fables are the tortoise and the hare, the ant and the grasshopper, the fox and the crow, Billing the cat, the fisherman and the little fish, etc. His collection of 240 short stories is very famous. Through his fables and short stories, he has taught us how we should live our lives happily and peacefully without creating any trouble for our own selves as well as for others. Now, let's start with the poem. But before that, don't forget to subscribe this channel for further notifications, as here I shall be explaining all English poems for classes 6 to 10 prescribed in CBSE board. Do you know how many legs a cricket has? 6 legs, out of which it uses 2 pair of legs, that is 4 legs for walking, and the rear pair or the 2 backside legs for jumping. And a cricket with 2 legs. What does this mean? As you see, the picture is there in the textbook. It has similarity with man. No, not in its body structure, but only in the picture. So the fabulist or the writer of this fable is here talking about a two-legged cricket, means about human beings. Now, let's take the first stanza. A silly young cricket, accustomed to sing through the warm sunny month of gay summer and spring, began to complain when he found that at home his cupboard was empty and winter was come. Silly. Silly means foolish. A silly young cricket, accustomed. Accustomed means habitual or to be in habit of. Through the warm, sunny months of gay summer and spring. Gay means happy. Began to complain when he found that at home his cupboard means a piece of furniture having door and shelves and is used for storing goods. So, in the first stanza, the fabulist Aesop is telling us about a cricket who was foolish and young. He was in habit of singing. So during summer and spring season, when the days were bright in sunlight and there was warmth everywhere, when there was sufficient food everywhere, the cricket spent his days in singing happily. He did not plan for future, but then the winter season came. During warm months, all other insects had stored their food for winter season. But the cricket, he had done nothing. He had not thought about his future at all. He just wasted his time lazily. And that's why in winter his cupboard had no food material inside. So the cricket became sad, very sad, and started complaining. Not a crumb to be found on the snow covered ground. Not a flower could he see, not a leaf on a tree. Oh, what will become, says the cricket, of me? Here, crumb means small pieces of food particles. Okay? Now, when the winter season came, the cricket was getting nothing to eat, not a single piece of food. It was also not possible for him to go out and search for food because the entire earth was covered with snow. On the tree, there was no flower, no leaf. Everywhere, there was only snow. So everything seemed to be covered in a white sheet. Now the cricket was afraid what to do, where to go, how to get something to eat, because otherwise, how would he live? And what would happen to him? Would he have to die without food? At last, by starvation and famine made bold, all dripping with wet and all trembling with cold, away he set off to a miserly ant to see if, to keep him alive, he would grant him shelter from rain and a mouthful of grain. He wished only to borrow, he would repay it tomorrow. If not, he must die of starvation and sorrow. Though there was extreme cold, but when the cricket was about to die out of hunger and he had no more food left with him, he became brave. It was so cold outside. The cricket started shivering bitterly. He was completely wet, yet he started towards his destination. That is, he was going to meet with an ant. You know, that ant was miserly. It means he never liked to give his belongings to anyone. But the cricket was in need of food and shelter, so he thought that he would ask for food and shelter from his friend, that ant, but not in charity. He would just borrow from him, and then, when he would be able to collect sufficient food, he would return the ant's food to him. But that very moment, in that extreme cold, the cricket was unable to arrange for his food and shelter. So, in order to keep himself happy and alive, he decided to go to that ant to tell him about his problem. Now, next stanza. Says the ant to the cricket, I'm your servant and friend, but we ants never borrow, we ants never lend. But tell me, dear cricket, did you lay nothing by when the weather was warm? Quoth the cricket. Not I. Here is a word quoth. Quoth means said. This is an old English word. Now, when the cricket met with the ant welcomed him warmly and told him that he was his servant, his friend, he was at his service. But he made it clear to the cricket that the ants are not in a habit of borrowing and lending. That is the rule of their life. And then, out of curiosity, the ant asked the cricket why he was in such a terrible situation. What was he doing during summer season? Why didn't he collect his food then? Why didn't he make arrangements for his shelter then? And the cricket had nothing to say. He just replied in negative. He made it clear that he didn't collect and arrange anything then. Then, what to do? He had nothing for winter season. He started cutting a sorry face in front of the ant. My heart was so light that I sang day and night, for all nature looked gay. You sang, sir, you say. Go then, says the ant, and dance the winter away. The cricket informed the ant that during summer season, winter season, he was very happy. His heart was light and tension free. So he passed his days and nights happily by singing songs. Then the ant replied, during the summer and spring season, when the nature was so attractive and cheerful, the cricket had passed his time in singing. Okay, then in winter season, he should not search for food and shelter. he better start dancing. Thus, he would be capable of keeping his body warm and fit even without eating anything, as he had nothing to eat. Thus ending, he hastily lifted the wicket and out of the door turned the poor little cricket. Folks call this a fable. I will warrant it true. Some crickets have four legs and some have two. Now, here is a word wicket. Wicket means small door or gate. You can imagine an ant hill, an ant's house, which has a small door, liftable door. So, when the ant completed his words, what the ant did, as quickly as possible, the ant, lifted the door of his ant hill. What it means? He pointed to the cricket that now the time had come for him to go out. Then the little helpless cricket had nothing to do. So he also came out of the ant's home. The fabulist or the writer of these lines says that according to people, this poem is a fable, a short story with a moral and having insects as its character. But he would guarantee that this one is a story based on true events. So, towards the end of the poem, we see the repetition of the same line that we had got earlier, and that is, some crickets have four legs and some have two. Now, the question is, what does the poet want to say through this line? Actually, the poet wanted to make it clear that just like the cricket, some two legged creatures, he means human beings, are also very lazy and are not well planned. They are not making a proper plan in time for their future, and when that future turns into present, they suffer. They have to face a lot of problems. So what should we do? We should plan everything in time. This fable gives us the moral lesson that we should not be lazy and we should not waste our time unnecessarily. We should always plan our days properly so that in future we need not be in any sort of trouble. Now let's concentrate on poetic devices. Here we find the use of alliteration, that is, repetition of the initial consonant sound in two or more consecutive words. You see, in the second line of the first stanza, through the warm, sunny months of gay summer and spring, summer, spring, both the words start with the letter S. So, sa sound is being repeated. Again, you see, fifth stanza, second and third line. Do you find it? Okay. Here you see there is another figure of speech has been used. What is that figure of speech? That is known as Anaphora. The same figure of speech we also find in the fourth stanza, third and fourth line. You see, both the lines begin with the word he. He wished only to borrow, he would repay it tomorrow. Got it? Now, what is anaphora? Anaphora is the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of successive clauses. Now, so far as the rhyme scheme is concerned, alternately the stanzas are in 4 and 5 lines. Altogether, 7 stanzas are there, out of which first, third, fifth, and seventh stanzas have 4 lines, and second, fourth, and sixth stanzas have been written in 5 lines. Now, in order to know the rhyme scheme properly, let's concentrate upon the last word of each line. In the first stanza, we will take the letter A for sing, the last word of the first line. The last word of the second line, spring, sounds similar to sing. So this word will also be represented through the same letter, that is A. The last word of the third line, home, sounds different. So we will take the letter B for it. And the last word of the fourth line, come, has similar sound. So the same letter B will be taken for home. So, sing, spring, home, come. AABB. The second stanza has 5 lines. The last word of the first line is found. So, it will be shown through the letter A. The last word of the second line, ground, sounds just similar to found. So, we will take the same letter A for it. Then the last word of third, fourth, and fifth lines, see, tree, me, have the same sound. So we will take the letter B for them. Thus, altogether, here in the second stanza, the rhyme scheme is A, B, B, B. And the same way it runs in the successive stanzas as well. Same rhyme scheme. 4 line stanzas are having the rhyme scheme AABB, and the 5 line stanzas are having the rhyme scheme AABBB. I hope it's clear. Thank you.